Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today is Friday, May 22nd at the time of recording. The video will probably be posted tomorrow, Saturday, May 23rd. I'm extremely excited for this video idea. I've been thinking about doing it for a long time, just trying to figure out the logistics of how it all may work out. So what we have here today is a scenario in which in the 2020 presidential election, the top four candidates of the 2016 primaries moved on to the general election. So normally I would do this kind of video for the 2016 election, like looking back, but I thought it would be more interesting and pertinent to modern times to have this scenario play out for the 2020 election. So the top four candidates of the 2016 primaries of the Republican and Democratic primaries, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Ted Cruz, and Bernie Sanders, of course. So in order to be able to do this video in a way that actually works out with the Electoral College, I have instituted the idea that I came up with in a video a few videos ago that I will link to in the description below, and it'll pop up on the top right of your screen right now if you want to go check that out before we head into this video. But basically the gist of it is that every single state electoral votes are distributed based on population. So each state's population divided by 100,000 is the number of electoral votes that they have. So for example, in the state of California, they have 39,500,000 people in the state roughly, and thus hold 395 electoral votes, whereas a state like Wyoming with 600,000 residents roughly holds 6 electoral votes. And so that is the concept for this video, and I hope you all enjoy it. Please make sure to comment any suggestions that I could possibly build off of this one in the future, but I'm really excited, and let's get right into it. So we're going to start out by going from left to right, starting in the on the Pacific coast to the east coast. Starting out in the state of Washington, Bernie Sanders would win the state of Washington. He won in the 2016 primary against Hillary Clinton there. And it's an extremely progressive state, and although Bernie Sanders narrowly lost the state in the 2020 primaries to Joe Biden, I do believe he would be able to hold off the other three candidates in the state of Washington and win there. I do also think he would win in the state of Oregon, another state that is similar to Washington, a very progressive state, maybe a little less progressive than Washington is, but a state that Bernie Sanders would win nonetheless. Same goes for the state of Hawaii, so I think he would also win the 14 electoral votes in the state of Hawaii, leading up to a total of 132 electoral votes just by winning the states of Washington, Oregon, and in Hawaii. California itself is a very tough state to call. I was going into this prediction not really knowing which way I was going to go. However, given that Hillary Clinton did defeat Bernie Sanders in the 2016 primary there, and just because I know it's a very progressive state, but I do see most scenarios ending in a Hillary Clinton victory there. I think it's a state that loves picking Democrats that will win the election. And I think Hillary Clinton has a much better chance of winning this election overall across the country than Bernie Sanders does. And I think that electability factor will come into play in the state of California. In the state of Alaska, Donald Trump will win the state of Alaska. He will win its 7 electoral votes. No surprise there. He won the Republican primary there in 2016 by a good margin, and thus he will take its 7 electoral votes. So now with all this, now you guys understand how it works. I am going to start speeding through these one by one. Starting in the state of Nevada, even though Hillary Clinton defeated Bernie Sanders there in the 2016 primary by a very slim margin, Bernie Sanders' margin of victory in the 2020 primary against Joe Biden is more than enough for me to say that Bernie Sanders would win the state of Nevada now with his new founded support among the Latino population especially. As for the state of Idaho, Ted Cruz, this is where he will come into play at the first time. He will win the state of Idaho. He defeated Donald Trump in the 2016 primary in the state of Idaho. I do believe he will win in Idaho with its 18 electoral votes. He will also win in Wyoming and in Kansas, 2 other states that he defeated Donald Trump in 2016. He didn't defeat Donald Trump in a lot of states in 2016, but another one that was one of them is the state of Texas, a big win, 290 electoral votes going to Ted Cruz in Texas, and with that, he is right up there with Hillary Clinton at 343 electoral votes so far. As for Arizona, this is a tough state to call, maybe the toughest. Given that This is a 2020 prediction, and all signs are pointing to a Democratic victory in the state of Arizona, especially for more moderate candidates such as Joe Biden. He won in the 2020 primary. Hillary Clinton won in the 2016 primary. I do believe Arizona will go to Hillary Clinton. As for the states of Utah and Montana, those will both go to Donald Trump. He won the 2016 primary there. He will also win in North Dakota, South Dakota, and all of Nebraska's electoral votes. So those all go to Donald Trump. He now holds 86 electoral votes. That is the least of any of the four candidates right now, but I doubt that will last for all that long. As for the states of New Mexico and Colorado, both will go to Bernie Sanders. Both are Latino-heavy populations and progressive states at that will vote for Bernie Sanders without much of an issue or debate there. As for the state of Oklahoma, that will go to Donald Trump. And so with that, one half of the country is finished. A lot of electoral votes have been given out. However, 2,109 electoral votes remain up for grabs. And as things stand right now, Hillary Clinton holds 468 electoral votes to Ted Cruz's 343, to Bernie Sanders' 242, to Donald Trump's 126. I doubt this is how it will play out as we head into the Rust Belt and throughout the South, but let's see as things go from top to bottom. Bernie Sanders will win in the Bernie Sanders will win in the state of Minnesota. He will win its 56 electoral votes. He won in the 2016 primary there against Hillary Clinton by a resounding margin. And although somehow he lost the primary in 2020, that was for a number of factors that just went against him on that day for Super Tuesday. So I do believe he will win in the state of Minnesota. However, in the state of Iowa, even though Ted Cruz won the primary there by a very, very slight 2 or 3% margin against Donald Trump, I do believe Donald Trump will win in Iowa because of his large margin of victory there in the general election in 2016. I also think he'll win in Missouri, Arkansas, and Louisiana, right up there on the west side of the Mississippi River. So right up on the west side of the Mississippi River, he will win all three of those states, and he is now right up there. It's very close between these four candidates at the moment. In the state of Wisconsin, now this is an interesting one because Donald Trump was able to defeat Hillary Clinton in the state of Wisconsin, and so I do believe it will go to a Republican in this, and given that in 2020 it looks like it's trending more to the Republicans in general, I do believe that this state will have to be given to a Republican. And maybe a little known fact, but Ted Cruz actually defeated Donald Trump in the state of Wisconsin in the 2016 Republican primary, and thus I do believe Ted Cruz will win the Wisconsin's 58 electoral votes. So he's already on 401 electoral votes at the moment. In the state of Illinois, that'll go to Hillary Clinton. Obviously, a resounding victory for her in 2016, a state that she is extremely popular in. I do believe she will win in the state of Illinois. Moving on into the South now. This is where Donald Trump effectively really was able to win a lot of support in the 2016 Republican primary, and where he won a lot of support, obviously, in the 2016 general election, as it is an area that votes for Republicans a lot more than it does for Democrats nowadays. I do believe he made a little error there. He will sweep across the South, and I mean sweep as in he will win all 6 of these states: Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, to no surprise. And he jumps up to 647 electoral votes, now in the lead. However, in the state of Michigan, a state that went to Donald Trump in 2016 but is trending a lot more Democratic than it did back 4 years ago. It's a state that typically votes Democrats, went to Donald Trump by a very low margin. I do believe that Hillary Clinton will win in the state of Michigan. As for Indiana and Ohio, Donald Trump will carry both Indiana, Ohio, and he will carry West Virginia, putting him up at 849 electoral votes, as Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton effectively leave Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders in the dust at this point through the Rust Belt. So as things stand right now, Donald Trump holds 849 electoral votes to Hillary Clinton's 695 in the race for the presidency. Now we're going to go to Florida. Florida is a state that is now Donald Trump's home state, and he won in the 2016 Republican primary. So, of course, despite the high Latino population that Ted Cruz is a lot more favorable in, Florida will vote for Donald Trump over Ted Cruz. As for Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders, obviously Hillary Clinton would defeat Bernie Sanders in a 2016 Democratic primary, and she would in a 2020 Democratic primary if they were the two candidates. It's a state that prefers moderates, and especially among the older population there. However, I do believe that Donald Trump would carry the state of Florida. 215 electoral votes going to his column, and now he holds 1,064 electoral votes with just 830 electoral votes left to be given out. It is getting very narrow here for any possibility of Bernie Sanders or Ted Cruz winning this election, as Hillary Clinton is the only hope for the Democrats at this moment in time, especially now with North Carolina going to Donald Trump, as I am predicting that. He won the Republican primary there in a state that will, in all likelihood, go to the Republicans in 2020 by a lower margin than it did in 2016 for sure. But I do believe it will stay in the Republicans' column. As for the states of Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware, they will all go to Hillary Clinton. She won the primaries there in 2016, and they are all heavily Democratic states at this moment in time. Even in Virginia, it is a state that is more than likely, almost certainly, going to go to the Democrats. As for the state of Pennsylvania, now this is a key one, a state that went to Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton in 2016. However, it is a state that features a much higher margin of Democratic voters than it does Republican voters. And thus, I do believe that Hillary Clinton would win in the state of Pennsylvania. I do believe 2016 is not something that will repeat itself very likely ever again, just with the way that demographics are shifting and across the country. And in Pennsylvania, a state that typically does elect Democrats. Moving on for the Hillary Clinton campaign, I do believe she will win in the District of Columbia and in New Jersey, as well as New York, which puts her above Donald Trump at 1,270 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 1,169, with just 150 electoral votes left to be given out, and they are all in the Northeast. Hillary Clinton's win in Pennsylvania is crucial, and it may have guaranteed her the election win here in the 2020 four-way race for the White House. However, in the Northeast, it can certainly be inferred that Bernie Sanders will win in Vermont. He'll win in Massachusetts. He'll win in Rhode Island, and he'll win in Connecticut as well as New Hampshire. However, in Maine, he will win the statewide 11 at-large electoral votes. Ted Cruz will carry the second congressional district, as he did the Republican primary in Maine in 2016, and Bernie Sanders will win the first congressional district. And that is how the map lays out at the end of this video. You may have some concerns over the fact that Hillary Clinton defeats Donald Trump in this format, given that Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton in 2016, as everybody knows. However, I do believe in this format, the odds would favor Hillary Clinton over over Donald Trump, because of the split of the vote that will, in my opinion, be a lot more prevalent in areas between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz than it will for Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. This is because states like Texas that have huge electoral vote margins will go to Ted Cruz, obviously, because it is his home state and he is extremely popular there among the Republicans, at least. And thus he would win the 290 electoral votes that are crucial to whether or not Donald Trump wanted to win this election. So I do believe that impacted Donald Trump a lot more than it did Hillary Clinton in this, despite Bernie Sanders having a higher margin of electoral votes than Ted Cruz. I do believe if Ted Cruz had a bigger impact on Donald Trump than Bernie Sanders did on Hillary Clinton, as Hillary Clinton was able to find her usual support among the more moderate and Rust Belt states that typically vote for Democrats over Republicans, and prefer moderate Democrats over more progressive Democrats, whereas the Republican voters there are a lot much more split between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. And thus is why Hillary Clinton won again. And let me know what you guys thought of this. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions for future videos. Maybe I can do this in the 2020 primary between Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, and maybe, I don't know, someone else that you guys can think of. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Comment while you're down there. Any suggestions, any feedback, any concerns, any hate, go ahead, go for it. Tell me what you think I did wrong, what I could improve on, and please engage in debate with other community members down below. I really appreciate all the support on the channel recently. Please make sure to like and subscribe, as I said before. Thank you guys so much for watching, and tune in next time.